we're very, very pleased to have Congressman Brady today to give us an update. He's on the Ways and Means Committee, also a ranking member of the Trade Committee, and is once again a very, very pro-business, strong member of Congress. We're really pleased. Besides Congressman Brady, we'll have three representatives today to kind of give their perspective on the implications that this has. We have representatives from Hewlett-Packard, also from McDermott, and from Texas Instruments. And then what we'll do is open it up for a question and answer. So let's welcome Congressman Kevin Brady.
Roland, thank you very much for having me here and for hosting for the partnership. Hey, Rosie, thanks for hosting this event and allowing us to visit with the Tax Committee and the partnership. This is an issue that is critical to the Houston region. We're a region that is a major exporter. We sell a lot of our products and services around the world. It creates jobs here in our region, good paying jobs as well. And you may know the President has made proposals that would change our international tax code, ostensibly to close tax havens and to stop the offshoring of U.S. jobs. But the impact would be just the opposite. It would cost U.S. jobs here in the Houston region. It would make U.S. companies far less competitive overseas, and I think at the end of the day, end up encouraging companies to relocate outside the United States. The issue is what they call deferral, but there's really, I think, a basic principle to this. With the world economy today, it's not simply enough to buy American. We have to sell American products and services all throughout the world. 95% of the world's customers are outside the United States. More importantly, 3/4 of all the purchasing power in the world is outside the United States. So we want our companies out there selling their products and services. Some can do it from here at home, but most cannot. Most have to have a commercial presence, to manufacture, to service, to operate in those new markets. But when our companies do that, they find themselves in a very difficult situation. America's international tax code is perhaps the most burdensome and the most punitive on the globe. And here's why. Two reasons. One, we have a very high tax rate at 35%, second highest among all the developed countries in the world. In fact, the trend today is other countries are lowering their corporate tax rates in order to spur more jobs within their country. The second reason we're at a huge disadvantage is that we have a worldwide taxing system, which is unusual around the world. We tax business income no matter where you derive it around the world. Most countries have a territorial system. In other words, they tax the income in their countries and not what's done abroad. As a result of us taxing everywhere, and the fact that our U.S. companies have to pay those in-country taxes as well, businesses that are trying to sell our products find themselves in many cases double taxed. Over the years, since the early 1900s, we've had a number of provisions to try to keep U.S. companies a little more competitive. And some of those are very common sense ways to treat income. One, we allow companies to deduct those foreign taxes that they pay in those countries. Secondly, we don't tax that income till it's brought back to the United States. Just as if you have a dividend coming to you, we don't tax you when a company earns that revenue. We tax you when the dividend arrives to you. The same in our foreign tax areas. We don't tax that money until it is passed on, moved back to the U.S. holding company. The result of all that is we are a little less uncompetitive. We are still at a competitive disadvantage, but all these tax treatments help to try to keep our companies operating. And the truth of the matter is that as we look for new sales abroad, it actually strengthens our companies here at home. For every dollar that we invest in trying to open up a new market, reach a new market, a customer base around the world, each dollar invested in those new sales creates $1.72 of new value here at home. So it strengthens our job base here in the United States. The proposals by the President would remove many of those tax treatments, would leave the United States with one of the few worldwide taxing systems in the globe, and the highest, and the only one that has a worldwide taxing system and a 35% tax rate. So the impact is serious, will be serious on U.S. companies. Here in the Houston region, you're going to hear from companies here in Texas who can tell you more about that impact. And Roland has been gracious enough as chairman of the committee to allow us, both by conference call from Washington and in a meeting earlier this morning, to help identify some of those jobs impact. And I'll tell you that that this is going to cost us jobs in the Houston region. It's going to make our companies less competitive as they try to compete around the world. And I think ultimately, again, will cause some of our companies to look at moving operations overseas simply because they can't afford to be here in the United States. That's a dangerous, I think that's a dangerous tax proposal. I actually think the solution is just the opposite of what the president is proposing. One, let's rethink the whole way we tax our companies around the world. You know, let's look at options like a territorial system, taxing the revenue here in the United States. Let's look at a flat corporate tax rate that would simplify the taxing system we have today. Let's look at border adjustable taxes that would allow our companies to compete better around the world. There's some good ideas out there, but that are I think, far more effective than what the president's proposed. And secondly, I think rather than taxing companies that try to compete overseas, we ought to lower the barriers for them to be able to bring those stranded profits from around the world back and invest it in the United States of America. 3 years ago, in 2004, several of us succeeded in attaching a provision to the 2004 tax relief package, the American Jobs Creation Act. And what it did was recognize that U.S. companies have a lot of profits overseas that can be reinvested in the United States. But the barrier, that 35% corporate tax rate, is a real hindrance. So we said, let's lower for 1 year that gate and allow those dollars to flow back in the United States. And that's what we did for 2005. We lowered the tax rate from 35 to 5 1/4, I think was the figure, for a set period of time. It was a little bit restrictive from my viewpoint, but the result was we brought back $300 billion through the tax code. Our U.S. companies bought back and reinvested $300 billion in the U.S. economy. Today, we have the opportunity to help bring back $800 billion in stranded profits around the world. And to put that in perspective, that is more than the original bailout dollars. That's more than the president's stimulus package that could be brought back and reinvested in the United States in the coming 12 to 18 months. So if you want to create jobs in the United States, help companies be more competitive, I would suggest we do just the opposite of what the White House has proposed and actually lower that gate, allow the money to flow back, help make our companies more competitive. So with that, Roland, that's sort of the general overview of why we're here today. But again, the reason it's important to talk about its impact in Houston is that I think the job impact is going to be very real in Houston.
Well, once again, I think from our standpoint, there's probably about 150,000 jobs that are readily identifiable that are all related to the multinational. So that's a core base to the foundation of our economic for this particular region. More specifically, thank you, Congressman. Please